Hello, I'm Jim Demmon with Clark County Close-Up. Thank you both for meeting with us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here as well.
Okay. Now, most of this interview is going to be talking about a home rule charter. Let's first talk, what is a home rule charter?
Well, for 169 years, Clark County operated as a code county, which means that the organization of the county was dictated by state statute. When counties get large and more complex, then what they can do is enact a charter through a vote of the people. And the process for doing that is to elect a board of freeholders who then meet and construct the charter over a 5 or 6 month period, and then that charter then goes on a general election ballot in November. Now, Clark County took 3 runs at passing a charter. The first 2 efforts failed, as most people know. The third effort was successful, and so in November of last year, the charter drafted by the Board of Freeholders was passed by the voters and came into effect on the 1st of January. So 169 years of doing business one way, and now we're doing business a different way.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the main elements of the approved charter. First, the charter called for the legislative and executive powers to be separated into 2 branches starting January 1, 2015. How did county government operate previously?
There's really 2 basic divisions to that. One is the division between the executive and the legislative powers. Mm-hmm. In reality, Clark County has separated that many years ago. Our previous administrator, Bill Barron, retired back 2 years ago, and you're his successor. So the day-to-day operations have already been managed by an administrator. So that part doesn't really change. The administrator, which is the role that Mark has been filling since September of 2013, was it? Mm-hmm. As Mark's continued to operate that, and it just formally recognizes that. Some powers are handed to the county manager instead of the administrator, which is the same role. Like, for instance, the appointment of some of the advisory boards. And the other significant role or difference has been the number of elected representatives. Right, up to this point, for 169 years, it's been 3 elected representatives. And next year, actually this November, there will be an election to elect 2 more. 1 new Northwest district and 1 county-wide manager. Okay. So the number of representatives is probably the most significant thing that we'll see that happen in January of this coming year.
Okay.
Yeah, and the chair, who will be elected county-wide, will have a leadership role. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to describe it, but they're all equal, but the chair has a bit more authority. The chair has representational duties, will speak for the board, and coincidentally will be compensated at a slightly higher level than the other 4.
Okay. And so if I'm a voter, I am a voter, so I would have the option to vote for the councilor in my district as well as the overall chair.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
In contrast to the way it has been, which is every voter gets to vote for all of their county-wide representatives up to this point. So that changes. So now that you've got an individual district and a single county-wide representative.
Okay. Now, Mark, as Councilor Madore mentioned, you were appointed as the acting county manager. So how have the duties changed? Are they all pretty much the same, working with the councilors?
Practically identical.
Okay.
Prior to January of this year, I would meet with each of the councilors on Mondays on a one-on-one basis. We still have our board hearing on Tuesdays. We still have board time on Wednesdays. We have added a county manager meeting on Wednesday mornings, which is an opportunity for me to bring issues and subject matter to the board that they might otherwise not be aware of, or to give them updates on key programs. Okay. So very slight change.
Okay, and as I understand it, once all 5 councilors are elected, then a county manager will be hired?
Well, the charter really says that the acting county manager must be approved by the 5 individuals at that time. So Mark he's been doing an excellent job, and he will, of course, was our natural choice to continue as long as we can. But the form of government needs to, the new form of government requires all 5 to ratify that decision or to make a different decision come next year. I would say also one of the significant good things that has happened since the charter is that citizens get to hear more about the inner workings of county government. And Mark, you, I think, have hit a home run with your Wednesday morning, weekly or bi-weekly, whenever they are appropriate, presentations to the community. For instance, the sheriff working with Clark County Sheriff, working with Skamania County Sheriff. You brought that forward, how we're going to be housing inmates there, and the kind of good working relationships between our government with other governments, and good job.
A variety of other topics as well. For example, in December, the board approves an annual construction program for public works for transportation. Well, they've never seen the bid schedule. And I had Heath Henderson, our public works director, come in along with his transportation folks, Bill Wright and Carolyn Henniges, to brief the board on the bid schedule, when they can expect to see bid awards come to them for approval. And I think that was an eye-opening experience for them, because they could see the $35 million program, the 20+ projects that are on the schedule. Truly impressive. And so it's a great opportunity. You know, we work as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talk, we debate, we decide, and we implement. And that hasn't changed. It was that way before, it's that way now.
Yes, we brainstorm very well together. We have to be a team. You used a key word there, eye-opening. And the presentations that you've been able to bring to the community is really so consistent with our priority of transparency and openness and accountable government, and make sure that people, our citizens, are able to tune into what's going on there. So the grid that we've added, and your meetings go on there, all of that is just consistent with. Turn on the lights, let the people see how their county government works.
Yeah, we're proud of the work we do, and we want people to know what we do.
Now, since the charter was implemented, has there been any unexpected issues arise, or has it been pretty much smooth sailing?
Well, if I could, the very first thing we tackled was boards and commissions, advisory boards. The charter specified 3 that were specifically to be handled by the council. However, if you look at RCWs also talk about the governing body, the legislative body will appoint members to certain other boards. Mm-hmm. And so one of our policy analysts did a bunch of research and put together a nice table that we have on our grid that shows which boards are handled by the commission or the council, and which are handled by the county manager. Mm-hmm. So this afternoon, for example, my full afternoon is booked interviewing potential candidates for our Development and Engineering Advisory Board, and that used to be a function of the council. And now that's a function of mine. So that's an increase in workload for me. Okay. But we worked it out, no conflict, no disagreements, and we're working on procurement policies and procedures currently to decide which of our road projects will go to the board and which will be handled by the county manager. And so we expect to have that work done here before too long.
Mm-hmm. And just like if you're going to organize your garage, it really helps to have shelves in there to be able to put things in the right place. We needed a shelf to be able to put the definitions, the procedures, the practices, the instructions, all of those things that need to be sorted out, that says we need to document how government works now. So we've created we have the grid. Mm-hmm. It has a home button, or a button on our homepage.
And it's clark.wa.gov.
Yes, / the grid. There's also a button on the home page. Okay. We also have DGrid. That's the letter D, short for definitions grid. Okay. And then the idea is to populate that with those definitions and with those practices, because we've been operating in a way that a number of the practices are just simply not written down anywhere. We just kind of always had the kind of informal way of doing things. Mm-hmm. Well, this requires more of a formal separation and a formal instructions of how do you do things. So we've got the advisory boards on there so far, and there will be other things as we define these. We have this year to sort out what needs to be defined, and as they get defined, they'll be placed in there. So an orderly, very well thought out process and sequence to define what needs to change and where do we put those changes so that it's all clear That way you have a smooth transition. So we don't want to hiccup and have the stability harmed by some kind of a hasty process.
Sure.
But we still want to be able to get her done. We're both get her done guys.
Yep. In addition to that, we have to look at our code and revise various sections of the code to make it consistent with the charter. And so our prosecuting attorney's office, civil division, is looking at the code and will bring chunks of code to the board for consideration and approval.
I see. And then it sounds like, so that'll be continue on, and then the next major steps would be bringing the 2 additional counselors, and
Yes.
then pretty much we're full.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on beyond the charter. Economic activity's been picking up nationally as well as in Clark County. You see it when you're driving around. How is it going in the county?
Mark, you want to start?
Sure. We're very business friendly. Our ethic at the county is that the business brings growth. Growth adds to our revenue, enables us to continue to provide services for that growth. And so we've got a multi-leg stool that we talk about. We improved our permit center, complete remodel to make it more customer friendly. We've looked at our procedures and we've employed what we call lean process to reduce the number of steps involved in approving permits and shortening the time necessary to grant the permits so that we can get building underway. And we're replacing our 15-year-old Tidemark permitting system, which is archaic and just not capable of providing the service that we want to provide. So we've got a state-of-the-art system that we're implementing now over the next 18 months or so. It'll provide real-time metrics on a dashboard for managers so that they can track individual permit applications and they can gauge the activity, and then if we need to ramp up staff, we can do that in advance of needing them. We also have weekend building inspections for the convenience of our customers, and we also can do building inspections with an iPad or an iPhone.
Yes, we did a spot on that.
And yeah, you did.
Yes.
We appreciate that. And we also have an economic development action team. Our economic development manager, Jeff Swanson, just a brilliant guy, and he's assembled a multifunctional team to include Clark Public Utilities, Clark Regional Wastewater, Berger, ABAM, City of Vancouver, and others, so that we can pounce on economic activities and opportunities when they arise. And right now we're doing a site readiness survey, a couple of key areas where we believe economic development can take off. And our road construction program is also designed to spur economic activity. So with that, I'll let Councilor Madore talk about the results of our efforts.
Yes, if you read some of the documentation, the basic documentation that was put out by our regional economist, Scott Bailey, by CREDC, by anybody who had a voice back in around 2011, 2012, it was doom and gloom. The story, the best analogy I can imagine is everybody kind of acknowledged that Clark County was the Pinto of the Northwest, and we get used to being in the back of the pack. That was predicted to be our future. There is no long-term relief in sight. And now we've traded that Pinto in for a nice shiny red Ferrari.
Oh.
And our regional economist, he normally puts out his reports every month, and I just love to publish those because it's the graph and it speaks for itself. Clark County has become the #1 fastest growing economy on the West Coast, and especially the Northwest. Far better than Portland, far better than the rest of the state. And why is that? Well, we got the deterrents and the discouragements out of the way. We got government out of the way. So not only has the streamlined process just smoothed things out, but we've also, and Mark, you've done a very good job of this as well, built a culture that focuses on making our customers successful, focuses on making life easy for our customers. And we have removed all of the fees for anybody who's going to build or expand a business in an unincorporated area of Clark County. And guess what? The free enterprise, the free market has responded, and those guys and those gals are creating brand new jobs in a way that is just making our county boom. So the self-sufficiency of our community is just rising, and we are moving from transitioning from being a bedroom community of Portland to being a self-sufficient jobs business hub of the Northwest.
Okay. Now, if people want to get more information about Clark County government, where can they check?
Well, they can contact the board's office.
Okay, 2232.
Right, and that's also the phone number that reaches the county manager.
Okay.
So when the person answers the phone, you can either go the board route or the county manager route, and we're all eager to talk to citizens and answer inquiries or help solve problems. Or you could go to www.clark.wa.gov.
Okay.
which is our
And on
website.
there, there's a button called The Grid. You click there, and there's all this stuff. And I also publish on my Facebook page. It's not a county sanctioned page. It's my own page. That every Monday through Friday, if you go to David Madore Public and on Facebook, you'll see something interesting that's happening current with Clark County. So I would like to keep citizens involved and keep that communication going.
And I also would like to add that on our homepage we have a button called Transparency, and it takes you to a page that has links to all kinds of documents and information. Our county checkbook is there. Every county property that we own is there, and we're continuing to refine the property piece so that people interested in what properties the county owns by category can look up parcel by parcel. So we're committed to transparency, we're committed to public service.
Absolutely.
And we're a great team, I think.
And we have a lot of fun in the process.
Yeah, we do.
Well, thank you both for meeting with us, and good luck with this whole transition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.